Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to a surprise video that I didn't think I was going to do, but several of you have asked to hear a little more about Uranus coming into Taurus in May. And Uranus just changes sign every 7 years. So this is a very significant time. And I thought I'd do a live stream so that we could interact a little. First, I'm going to talk a little about what I see coming, the potentials for this Uranus into Taurus, and how I see it globally, how I see it personally. And then I'm going to look into the questions that you have that come as a result of this video. So Uranus into Taurus, welcome to all of you who are coming online now with me live, and welcome to those of you who come online afterwards when it's not live but it's still in your now time. So the first thing to say is that when Uranus changes sign, chances are that something quite major will happen globally. So, for example, in 2004, when Uranus went into Pisces, this was when Bush went into the Iraq war for oil, largely, Pisces ruling oil. And in 2011, when Uranus went into Aries, this was when we had the tragedy of Fukushima happening, just when Uranus went into Aries. So what are the kinds of things that we could possibly see as a result of Uranus into Taurus? Where it's going to stay, goes briefly back into Aries, November of this year, and in March of heavily controlled, is likely just to burst awake, so to speak. I'm not sure whether I've gone offline. I think something just happened, but I'm not sure what it was. So I'm sorry about that, guys, but I think that we're back on again now. You see, and that is so typical of Uranus. And I guess it's always the master of surprise. And the retrograde, yes. Mercury retrograde serves me right for doing something under a retro. But hey, you know, this is the kind of thing we're going to have to get used to, is this element of surprise in our lives. So, thank you for being patient, and thank you for coming back online. Taurus, you see, it's one of the slower signs of the zodiac, Uranus going into Taurus. As I said, try getting a bull to move fast. Doesn't usually move fast, does it? Unless it's given some kind of a red rag. But otherwise, the bull is quite content just to, you know, roam around that field. So, yes, somebody's rightly commenting that Uranus was in Taurus during the 30s and 40s, and we did have World War II at that point. That's not the kind of thing that I am seeing, but I've got to say that when you look at Uranus, you've always got to be ready for something different, something other than expected. But let me look at what I see as the potentials here. The first thing is that Taurus rules the senses. All your physical senses. And Uranus is about an awakening of those senses. An awakening. An ability to see better, to hear better, to feel more, to taste more enhanced tastes. Yes, imagine all the senses being awakened. And when you are in touch with your senses, then you're living in the now moment. You're living in the power of the moment. So I think that there could be a real awakening here. And an opportunity to really get in touch with the physical body. And maybe the discovery of a sixth sense, maybe a seventh sense, an eighth sense, maybe different senses that we didn't know we had, coming to light, becoming aware. Because I think more and more people are becoming aware that there is a new consciousness happening. And Uranus would certainly represent a new consciousness coming. And so really think about ways in which you can wake up your body. It's an alarm call for the physical body. Taurus rules food. How we grow food. How we see food. It also would rule food as medicine. Using food to feed ourselves, to heal ourselves. So I think food and chefs and cooking and growing food, new ways of really growing food in very resourceful ways. I was told recently that if all of Manhattan were to have roof gardens, that could feed like almost 2/3 of the population of Manhattan. So I think that we're going to get this sense of other ways that we connect. The other thing is that Taurus rules the throat, the neck, the voice. And I think it's going to be an opportunity. You might find yourself really speaking out. People really getting ready to speak out, but in a very physical, tangible way, because it's Taurus, it's physical, it's real. Uranus in Aries could be a lot of hot air. It could be a lot of guns. We've seen a lot of gun tragedies with Uranus in Aries. As we move into Uranus in Taurus, I think we'll see much more of a speaking out. And also, Uranus in Taurus would rule singing, the healing power of the voice, the healing power of toning. And I think that is going to become a huge area of exploration and power. Taurus also ruling beauty. And I think that we're probably going to see some big changes in the fashion industry. Big opportunities for newness. So if you're in anything to do with fashion or beauty or makeup and natural health care, I think this whole thing around natural care is going to be very, very important. Love. I think love, the whole issue of love and what love means, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. And an awakening to love and how you love yourself. Loving food, loving touching things, loving hugging people, hugging trees, loving nature, loving people, romance, all of these things. I think there's going to be an opportunity to really come down to earth with romance, with what we want to. Maybe there's a connecting of romance that we could have with many people, not just one only person. And you spend your life looking for this one precious person that you can be romantic and loving with. Hey, What if we could be loving and romantic with many people? If we could fall in love again and again and again without it being restricted, but that it's freer, because Uranus in Taurus is a freedom, breaking out maybe from the traditions here. Yes, I'm a tree hugger too. I'm a tree kisser as well. I like kissing the trees. So really, it's going to be, because when you fall in love, and also the voices, the songs around love, music is going to come awake in different ways. Sculpture will come awake in different ways. I think these are all areas, again, ruled by your Taurus, that are going to come awake. We're going to get new perspectives in these areas. I even think that Buddhism, anything to do with Buddhism, because the Buddha apparently was born during a full moon in Taurus and was blossomed around this time. Who knows? We may have a greater awakening to religions that are not that are freer, that are more all-encompassing, let's put it that way, that cover all of us. Yes, and Taurus likes to be silent, likes peacefulness. If you're peaceful around that bull, it'll be peaceful around you. It's only if you aggravate it or annoy it that it's going to come back and really show you a lesson or two. So I see this as a tremendous opportunity, because again, Taurus rules money and banking systems, how we exchange goods and services, and that's up for some very big changes and awakenings over these next 7 years. How will it awaken? People are always saying, well, you know, there'll be a stock market crash. There may be, or it may go up crazily. My thought is it's going to be more volatile than anything ever before. And I think that we're going to have to get in touch with an inner sense of security. That you find your own inner connection with the higher dimensions, the higher realms, whatever you want to call it, that is outside of all the things in your life. This is the first time for a long time that I don't own anything big, no asset. I don't have a house that I own, I just rent. I don't have a car, I rent if I need one, or I take the bus. I'm not saying this is bad or good, but I'm learning, because I have Taurus moon, and I'm trying to prepare as best I can, to just release attachment. And I think that one of the interesting things is that Buddha's great messages is that attachment is suffering. And Uranus is in one way or another perhaps going to show us lessons to release our attachments, to release what we think we really need, and to be flexible in those needs. Things can change. Uranus is going to bring you an opportunity to make a lot of money, to lose a lot of money, and not to mind either way. I think our perspective about money is going to change. I think our perspective about value is going to change, and your own value. Taurus rules your self-esteem, how you feel good about yourself. And every sign is going to be impacted by this Uranus in Taurus. Make no mistake, all of us are going to be impacted. This is a generational thing. Now, Uranus in Taurus opposite to Scorpio energy, Scorpio ruling debt. So I think any issues around debt, if you can get out of debt or not take on debt during this time, it's probably going to be an advisable thing. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm just saying it's probably advisable, simply because Things are going to be very topsy-turvy for a while, but when things are topsy-turvy, there are opportunities. And I think there'll be opportunities in the construction business, anything to do with building. I love you too, guys. Love, love, love is the key word. So putting love into our buildings, not just building eyesores, but what love goes into them, what feng shui goes into them, what vibrations are we putting into our buildings, into our clothes that we wear, into our food that we eat, into our earth that nourishes us. So there's so many things here, and it's all to do with vibrational frequencies. And so I think anybody in the gardening, landscaping, food business, agriculture, farming, medicine, construction, as I said, anything to do with healing, to do with banking, money, finance, talents, love, romance, fashion, beauty. Wow! Don't you think this is exciting? People starting doing what they love. Thank you for saying that. Somebody's saying that here. Athena. Hello, Athena. Yes. Time to do what you love. To break out. Uranus is a breakout time. Uranus is about freedom. And breaking out from the confines that you've put around yourself. Most of the time, it's things that we put around ourselves that are the limitations, rather than actual limitations, physical ones. So I think you'll find that people will find new ways of getting strong, because Taurus is about strength, physical strength, stamina, staying power, really being able to be strong. The trees, for example. Think about the trees, you know, they're so beautiful, aren't they? For those of you that like trees. And our plants, and the flowers. Yeah, Taurus rules all of this, everything about nature. And the Buddha did awaken supposedly under a tree. He sat back under that tree and he said, I'm not going to budge until I get some answers about what life is about. So I think that we're going to get a greater understanding of the relationship between things and space. So the space between things, the space between words, the silence in the gaps between music. I think the musical field is going to transform. I also think that there could be a shift in beauty, in modelling beauty. I think because Taurus is quite a solid sign, I wouldn't be surprised if people with bigger figures and bigger boobs and bigger bottoms are actually going to be more in fashion. Don't be surprised. You see, once again, Uranus always bringing us what we don't expect. So I think one of the best ways you can prepare for this is to think about all those areas. Yes, nature, food, your senses, speaking, singing, animals, medicine, healing, energetics, building, construction, money, finance. Big, there's a lot here encompassed by Taurus. And being able to find that silent space within you that is free of all the stuff, and nature does help, and animals do help. And then no matter what happens on the planet around you, even if there are earthquakes, which there may be, even if there is an upheaval in the financial system, which there could be, that you have a place of groundedness, of connectedness to the earth, no matter what is happening. You're also connected, Uranus, Taurus, to those higher realms as well. I do think that channeling will also be something that begins to take off more. There'll be proof around it that it really is something tangible and not as woo-woo as people would believe. So, yes, tune into music, find your own song. Each of us has a song, each of us has a melody, each of us has something that is unique. You each have a unique talent, a unique thing. You might want to ask for help at this time, just before we get into this Uranus in Taurus. How can I help me to bring out my greatest talents so that I can enliven the world around me? That's what I ask for all the time. Show me how I can be the best that I can be, doing what is uplifting for others. So you might take up a new musical instrument, you might become a cook, you might become a gardener, you might start building things. 3D printing, I think, finally will begin to take off during this time. It's been talked about a lot, but I think this whole 3D printing, the speed with which we're going to be able to construct structures and deconstruct them, is going to be phenomenal. It really is going to be almost like, space age, beam me up, Spocky, yeah? Beam me up, Scotty, yeah, sorry. Yeah, it really is going to be that. So I'm seeing a lot of adventures in space and also here on Earth within the space that surrounds us. So there's a lot more I could say. I'm going to do a separate video letting the Pleiadians have a little chat about this. Just before I go, because time just flies, any one question, anybody's got a burning question. So I'm going to take any burning questions that you've got. And yes, take your herbal class. Is whole life going to be upside down? Well, it will be more for those who are very attached to what you have. For those who live in more fluidity and don't have a tendency to get into ruts, it will be much easier and much more enjoyable. For some, it'll be could be a little bit of a rude awakening, but could be wonderful too. Is a war coming? I don't know. I would hope not. Yes, I'll do the Pleiadians in about the next few minutes after I tune off from here. For those of you who want the piece, some of you are asking, I'll do them. How not to be afraid? Know that you're safe, no matter what's happening. Trust that you're safe. The last time Uranus was in Taurus, someone's asking, yes, it was during World War II. And there were a lot of upheavals at that time. I feel that it's going to be entirely different this time round. I do think it's going to be financially different. Cryptocurrencies, of course, are going to come well into the fore. Legalization and all these kinds of things are going to be... we're going to look at wealth, abundance, and gratitude. If you can look at the gratitude and have deep thanks for everything that you do have, and you can be in your physical body and not in your mind all the time, you'll find this a very inspiring transit. So thank you very much for listening right now. I'm going to be bringing the Pleiadians in shortly, so stay tuned. I'll do it on a separate video because it just seems to work more easily that way. So, love to you. Big hugs to you all. And thank you for tuning in. Bye for now.